Breaking news from the economic front lines reveals that the American consumer has officially hit a breaking point, and the data we just received from the Conference Board is flashing the most severe warning signal we have seen in over a decade. While the headlines have been distracted by political maneuvers, the ground beneath the U.S. economy has shifted violently because the Consumer Confidence Index just collapsed by nearly 10 points to land at 84.5 in January 2026. To put that number in perspective, this is not just a bad month. It is the lowest reading since May 2014, surpassing even the darkest depths of the pandemic lockdowns in 2020. This collapse is being driven by a perfect storm of geopolitical chaos and domestic exhaustion, as the Trump administration's aggressive foreign policy moves, including the capture of Venezuela's former leader and threats of massive new tariffs on Canada and Europe, have sent shockwaves through Main Street. What makes this report truly terrifying is not just the headline number, but the silent crisis emerging in the labor market that nobody is talking about, because we are now witnessing a full-blown hiring recession. The data shows that a staggering 55% of Americans now say jobs are difficult to land, which is the highest percentage we have seen since the COVID crisis began. This creates a dangerous disconnect, where the unemployment rate might look stable on the surface, but underneath the hood, companies have completely frozen hiring, leaving recent college graduates and laid-off workers with nowhere to go. Experts like Heather Long from Navy Federal Credit Union warned that this is not just about politics, it is about structural affordability, because despite the administration's promises, the cost of living crisis is actively getting worse. Families are being crushed by the rising cost of health insurance and relentless grocery inflation. And when you add the fear of a trade war with our closest allies, consumers are snapping their wallets shut.
The economic implications of this sentiment crash are massive because consumer spending makes up 70% of the US GDP. And when confidence drops below 85, it historically signals that a recession is not just possible, but imminent. Ben Ayers from Nationwide notes that while spending held up through the holidays, that momentum has evaporated, and we are looking at a potential contraction in the first quarter of 2026. The only lifeline left seems to be the Treasury Department's promise of larger tax refunds, which are projected to increase by $1,000 per household. But most economists see this as a temporary fix for a much deeper structural problem. If consumers use that money to pay down debt rather than spend it, the retail sector is going to hit a brick wall. As we look toward the second quarter, the forecast is becoming increasingly grim, with Jeffrey Roach from LPL Financial predicting that the unemployment rate is going to break out and approach 4.6%. This would be the final domino to fall, because if job losses start to accelerate at the same time that prices remain high, we are entering a period of stagflation that the Federal Reserve will find nearly impossible to fix. The message from this data is crystal clear, that the sugar high of government stimulus is wearing off, and the American consumer is bracing for impact. If you are watching this now, the time to prepare your personal finances is not next month, it is today, because the economic indicators are no longer whispering, they are screaming that the easy times are over.